love the 70s. It's one of my favorite decades, the period, Studio 54, disco, all of that. And it's the Coke. But what I wanted to talk about, what I wanted to ask you both, it might not be as fun without the Coke, but another conversation. What I wanted to talk to you guys about is this isn't just a story about the fun and the, exciting, glamorous side. It's also a story about immigration and the fight that Cubans had during that time period for their American dream. And these two brothers are on different sides of that. Can you talk a little bit about that aspect of the story and what it was like portraying those characters in those circumstances?
Dan?
Please, sir, please. Yul Vasquez, ladies and gentlemen. Yul Vasquez.
Talk about the American dream?
Well, going for the American dream as, immigrants during that time period, because it seems when we see it portrayed, it's either, hardworking and good, kind of what we have on, or we're kind of dealing, the unscrupulous elements that are necessary in some ways to get you there. So,
so I was very young. I was about 2.5 years old. And so I had no decision making, and my mother taking me and my sister and my grandmother out of Cuba, saying, I'm not down with this and I'm taking my family out of here. So, as a 2.5-year-old, you can imagine I had no say. So it's thrust upon me, but I understood why, and I understood why my mother did it. And then I also had tremendous admiration and respect for what it took for a woman, a single mother with 2 kids who didn't speak English, to come to another country to do this. So I was raised to be very grateful to this country for having accepted us and bringing us in. So I'm very grateful for the American dream, and it's not something that I take lightly. I never thought I would get even half as far as I have gotten.
What Yul is saying is so true for most Cuban Americans, but it's when you start to unpack it within the context of our show, the complexity of that. Most Cuban Americans in the 60s and 70s had a foot on one side of the Florida Straits and a foot on the other side of the Florida Straits, meaning that the exiles, Cubans don't see themselves as immigrants. We see ourselves as exiles. We were not north facing. We were south facing. Once we arrived to Miami, we always would arrive with the expectation of going back. It wasn't like a lot of immigrant groups who came here to start new, to find the American dream. We were hoping to find safety in America, to regroup in an effort like the Bay of Pigs, to go back and reclaim our country from this, catastrophic communist dictatorship that took over the country. And that is the backdrop, the political, socio-political backdrop that our show exists in, and that influences both of our characters.
Amazing. Thank you both so much for your time. I appreciate it.
That's it? No way.
That's it.
No
for
way.
me.
All right, but let me just one last thing. Yep. Thank you for the questions. Hotel Cocaine is an incredibly volatile, sexy, hedonistic, dynamic world set in 1978 Miami that is a transformative time for this city with these 2 characters at odds. We hope you watch. Thank you for your questions. Welcome to Hotel Cocaine.